Здравствуйте, Namaskar. Welcome to the Friday Meet organized by the Russian Center for Science and Culture in Kolkata. Today we will be focusing on a very eminent lady who was a wife, a friend, a mother, a partner, and inspirer to her husband, to her family, and to the people of the world who have love for culture. She was no one else but Helena Roerich, wife of Nikolai Roerich. Nikolai Roerich said about her that they both passed amicably many obstacles, and the obstacles to them turned into possibilities because unitedly they tried to solve the problems. And they worked together, they took part together in all expeditions, and Helena Roerich always supported her husband's initiatives and all expeditions, whatever and wherever he went. She was like a partner in her life in true sense. We can call her as comrade in arms. Many of Nikolai Roerich's paintings were a result of their common creativity. And even Nikolai Roerich himself said that in his book, She Who Leads, that she asserted that on many occasions his canvases should have two signatures, one of his own and another of his wife, because they worked together for this canvas. She was the granddaughter of Field Marshal Mikhail Kutuzov, who defeated Napoleon Bonaparte when Napoleon's army made the aggression against the Russian people. She was brought up in a very cultured family, and she has talents in many fields, many cultural fields. She was profound in music, and at the age of 7, she could speak in 3 languages. She also gave performance, a solo performance at the stages in St. Petersburg. She was a student, a very well known student who won a gold medal when she passed the gymnasium. She had an urge to study more about music, but unfortunately, the family members were restricting her not to go for further studies because they were afraid that she might be joining the revolutionaries. However, she joined another revolutionary, Nikolai Roerich, who himself was a revolutionary because he had dreams which he made into reality. And he had the urge to travel India because they both considered that India is the land where they have the kinship between India and the Slavs. At a very early stage, when she was not allowed to go for further studies, and but she was given enough books at her house, at her home, she studied very well, and she was proficient with the Indian philosophy, and particularly with the ancient and the modern philosophies. She studied the books written by Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Swami Vivekananda, and also she had a vast knowledge on Buddhism. When she was growing, she also studied the works of Tagore, like Nikolai Roerich. And they both met in the year 1901. They became close friends and they married at a very early age. However, from the immediately after the marriage, they started going to many places inside Russia, particularly more than 40 cities they covered at their young age. And they have done, because particularly she has done wonderful photography works of the architecture, art objects, and paintings and churches, based on which Nikolai Roerich could do his famous fresco paintings. And she was very much interested in her studying about the Indian philosophy. When she had her two children by 1902 and 1904, the first one was Yuri, who became famous linguist in future, and the second one, Svetoslav, who became a famous artist in future. With them, they went to many expeditions. And they went for architecture, for churches, for paintings, for ornament, and they even did some restoration works, including the works of eminent artists like Rubens or Bruegel or Van Dyck. And Indian philosophy attracted them so much that ultimately they were planning to come to India and to go to Tibet. In 1920, Nikolai Roerich had his exhibition in London where they met Tagore, and Tagore invited them to come to Kolkata. Both of them, after their exhibition in the United States, they came to India in the year 1923. They wanted to meet Tagore, but unfortunately Tagore was not there. But they had regular correspondence with Rabindranath afterwards. And they went to the expedition for Tibet and the Himalayan region. I told earlier that how the Britishers, because of their Russophobia, they wanted to create many obstacles in their expedition. However, they came back to India, they settled down in Kulu, and in the place which is called today as Nagar, they had their Himalayan Institute, which they formed over there. And this institute became very famous all over the world because immediately they started doing research work on the Himalayan nature, on the Himalayan people, on the Himalayan culture. And she started translating many books by this time. She started when they came back to, on the way of their expedition, when they came back to Gulmarg, they settled in Kashmir in Gulmarg. There she translated the famous book called Mahatma's Letters. These were the letters written by the famous Buddhist lamas, and they were called as Mahatmas. She also made another book called Chalice of the East. And here, interestingly, she took a very interesting name as Iskandar Khanum. And she did many works with her pen names because she afterwards made the book titled as Foundations of Buddhism or the Basics of Buddhism. She had the books in her credit called Cryptograms of the East, which she wrote in the pen name of Josephine Saint Hilaire. And here she mentioned about the characters of Buddha, Christ, Akbar the Great, and many other eminent personalities. In 1930s, she started translating the major works of Madame Blavatsky, which she translated into 2 volumes, and they were also published. She also very much a big instrument in making the Roerich Pact successful. 2 volumes of her letters were published in 1940, and she mentioned about the importance of cultural cooperation, cultural unity of people of different countries. And she formed the Himalayan Institute for Scientific Studies in Kulu in Nagar, and this institute had relations with not only with international organizations but also with very eminent persons like scientist Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose, poet or novelist or humanist Rabindranath Tagore, and scientist Albert Einstein, and many other persons like that. She had correspondence with more than 140 people in her life, and with these people she had regular correspondence. All these works were published in the year 1940s. In 1947, when Nikolai Roerich passed away, she was, before that, she was the president of this Himalayan Institute, which she gave the name as Urusati, or the Light of the Morning Star. This Light of the Morning Star was under her presidency, and she continued the function till 1950s, before she came to Bengal, to Kalimpong, which she visited earlier through Darjeeling. She went earlier and she came to Kalimpong and she stayed there. And today in Kalimpong, the place is known as the Crooked Tea House or the Roerich Museum, the Helena Roerich Museum. One can visit this museum, and this lady, who spent in India for quite a long time, did a lot for the people of India, did the research work on the people of Himalaya and the culture of Himalaya and culture of India. And she is praised, she is known to the people of the world, not only as the wife of Nikolai Roerich, but as a thinker and writer. And she is known as the person as the old friend of India, and that is mentioned where where her ashes are buried and in the stupa in Kalimpong. One can go and watch this stupa, and one can see that it is written here that Helena Roerich, the wife of Nikolai Roerich, an old friend of India. And we pay our salute, our regards, our respect to this great lady who was in India, who became like an Indian, who did a lot for Indian culture, and who did a lot for the friendship between India and Russia. Thank you very much for being with us. Namaskar, Punardarshan Ayocho. See you again. Das Vedanya.